Then why are you here? Did you miss our conversations?
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast going live on the 19th of September, just after the broadcast. Yes, Doctor Who's back. Now, let's get the obvious things out of the way. My wife suggested that this episode be called Snakes on a Segway. I thank you. That is possibly the best gag you will hear. In fact, I'd like you to go out now. Yes, you, dear listener, go out and do a little hashtag and spread the word that this episode needs to be renamed from The Magician's Apprentice to Snakes on a Segway. Go on, do it now. Have you done it? Well done, you. Welcome back. Also, and I am just trying to get these out of the way early on so I can get on with an actual proper review, I just need to say that Davros will be spending his old age, his retirement, in exactly the same way that you and me will be doing it. Watching old episodes of Doctor Who on a crappy little monitor in the corner of your ward. Or at home, just like we're doing now. Hands up everyone, and I know everyone, who finished watching this episode and went, I might just watch Genesis of the Daleks, is that alright with everyone? And before anyone could blink an eye, the disc was already in. Or, let's face it, this is the 21st century, where everything changes. So you wouldn't be shoving a disc in. You'd be accessing the Me MP4 file, or some such. So yeah. Now, can I just ask you a quick question about this? Obviously it's implied that the things that are on the screen are from Davros's point of view, and they're his memories, because they've got the blue circle in there from his eye. Now, that means Davros records everything via his lovely recording chair, which means the whole storyline in Genesis of the Daleks, where he records all of the defeats and successes, is pointless. Unless, of course, they happen while Davros is asleep. Let's go with that one. Let's retcon that one into the affairs. So yeah, Davros is watching old episodes of Doctor Who, and you know what? I can't blame him. He doesn't look well, and for a man well over 3,000 years old, he genuinely still doesn't look well. That metal hand, I just don't know whether it's good or not. I used to have a ring very similar to that, which I'm sure I sold on eBay. And you know what? I miss it. I'm rambling. Welcome back. It's business as usual. So, before we go any further, can I just read something out to you? On my bookshelves, yes, I've put up some lovely bookshelves in my lovely house, I have a small exercise book. It's very small and lies in between my copy of License Denied and Chicks Dig Time Lords. It's almost unnoticeable. It's very thin. It's a black spine and a black cover. And just inside is written the words, The Little Book of Big Finish Ideas. Now, a few pages in, it says this. The Doctor materialises on a war-torn planet. There are trenches, explosions. Almost by accident, the Doctor manages to save a soldier. The battle continues. The crew get back into the TARDIS and travel forward in time to see what the outcome of the war was. It is only then that the Doctor realises that the information in the TARDIS is wrong. Something is very wrong with the universe. When they materialise again in the future of this world, the world is at peace, at least on the surface. They are gearing up for war. They have giant spaceships ready to jump into the universe. On board these spaceships are very, very big robots, all horribly beweaponed, and they appear to be sentient in nature. The human-like creatures wander and work with them in unison. The Doctor and the crew discover that these are the Thals, both the mutated Thals from the war and the non-mutated Thals in charge. This is the beginning of the Thal Empire. The Thals are more ruthless and more dangerous than the Daleks could ever have been. You get to see the darkness that could have happened, because the person the Doctor saved from the explosion where he lost the use of his legs was Davros. The Doctor has no choice but to go back in time and make sure these things don't happen. That's from the little book of Big Finish ideas. Obviously, I'll never be able to use that now because of this remarkably better told story. Yes, Thal Empire would be brilliant, but it's just not going to happen. It's a load of fan nonsense. And on the subject of fan nonsense, let's discuss this particular Doctor Who story. What have we got? Well, let's look at my little note. Yes, of course I had the feelings of disappointment before this programme. I always fear that the world is just waiting to rediscover that Doctor Who isn't particularly very good. Perhaps that's my fault, my flaw, thinking that there's something wrong with our beloved show. Perhaps. But let's face it, we have an A-plot, a B-plot, and very little Doctor till about halfway through. Yeah, we've got the setup where you go, oh, it's Davros. How long, hands up again, how long was it before you thought that it was Skaro? Yes, there's that line in Genesis of the Daleks where it's said,
strange. Centuries between these two weapons.
What's that on his jacket?
Radiation detector and gas mask. The two things don't go together, do they?
Part of his uniform is made of animal skins, and yet the combat jacket is a modern synthetic fibre.
Like finding the remains of a Stone Age man and a transistor radio.
Playing rock music.
1,000-year war. Civilization on the point of collapse.
What?
Nothing. Just theorizing, that's all.
And that's fair enough. That's a bit of a giveaway. And if you've heard the audio as many times as me, then you, like me, will always have that in your head. Why was Davros out there? We'll just never know. And the fact that there's been a child included in the story, well done, Mr. Moffat. Yes, of course, the whole plot revolves around Tom Baker's line of,
listen, if someone who knew the future pointed out a child to you and told you that that child would grow up totally evil, to be a ruthless dictator who would destroy millions of lives, could you then kill that child?
But you know what? So what? Could he do it? Probably not. He's our Doctor. But let's face it, Capaldi's Doctor's a lot more Pertwee Doctor. And Pertwee shoots first, regardless of any computer-generated graphics. I'm off topic. So, your A-plot is your Davros-based search for the Doctor, Mr. Snakes. Your B-plot, well, that's the stuff based on Earth with Unit and the Master. Is it me or... Now, I know Missy's doing a brilliant performance. Yes, she's great. She's much better than John Sim. Right? Even the face is angular enough to be, well, Roger Delgado's daughter. And the Scottishness, I don't know why that's oozing out. Is she trying to be like the Doctor? Yes, the whole definition of love and friendship and things being older than the Earth and all that nonsense. Just laid on there for us fans to argue and bicker over. Well, I, for one, am just going to skate right over it. Especially the three things and one of them was a lie. We'll never find out and we never really care. Missy's not very good at being a woman. What she is good at is being the Master, and that's all that really matters. The business with the snipers and the aeroplanes, ideal for broadcast. Originally in, let's guess this right, if Doctor was broadcast on time, it would have been, I don't know, around September the 11th or September the 12th for that episode. Can't really show that one then, can you? Bit of bad taste. So let's knock it on a week. Let's put it on the 19th, where it's not quite as obvious that there are planes full of people stuck in the air, hanging around as weapons. Leave it. Yes, let's leave it. So how long was it before you thought, it's Skaro? 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute? Did you not get it till Davros was announced? Have you been avoiding spoilers? I don't know. Be honest with yourself, if not with me. So, we have something at the beginning that I can only call the Russell T Davies checklist. Very nice. Very good. Very, very Russell. I love the Jadoon. I always have. And it's not just because they've got lovely new rocks. Whatever happened to my new rocks? I'm not the man I once was. Getting back to this, the Jadoon are brilliant. And all of the other characters, including, weirdly, a blowfish from Torchwood. What's going on there? Do you think they're just moulds that they had lying around in order to try and get that whole Star Wars cantina thing going on? It's a shame that the nice blue-faced man just wasn't there, but you know what? Let's not hold that against him. I, for one, would have liked him to appear, but perhaps he's going to turn up a bit later. It's also, well, I don't want to say old school. The old stuff with Davros is very old school. But the stuff that's, well, searching, it's very old new school, if you see what I mean. It's very Russell T Davies. Where's the Doctor? He's over there between the land and the sky next to the sweeping gazelles. No. So where's the Doctor? Everyone seems to know Mr. Snakes, and that's absolutely fine, because that sort of thing happens in Doctor Who all the time. Why Mr. Snakes is a servant of Davros and not, I don't know, a Dalek or a Dalek servant or something like that, I don't know. And of course they are a parliament, they are a democracy of snakes. Is that the collective term? It really should be. So you've got the pointless search. And you know what? The other plot line lasts just long enough for you to forget that this other plot search is going on. And that's absolutely fine. So, you've got the Master, doing what the Master does best, being a plot device. Because, let's face it, it's not really needed except in order to get Clara from Earth, from her job. Oh, her job. Yeah, let's just go there. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't think there are many English teachers would talk about one of the writers' abilities to do some sort of kiss. I'm thinking that would be giving the kids a bit too much ammunition in order to take the mick out of them. Because let's face it, once you're in high school, it is a bit of a war between you and them. It's not as much fun as it appears on telly. Don't give the kids ammo. It's just not on. Now, she also tells the kids to use the hashtag. The hashtag of the planes have stopped. Possibly the longest hashtag known to man, which should be the new hashtag. Hashtag really long hashtag. Or really long pointless hashtag. Yeah, let's go with that one. You don't need to search with hashtags. I'm being told these things. I'm not on Twitter. I must activate that automatic account. I've rambled. Please forgive me. So, you've got your main storyline now, where there's a lovely scene where everyone's drinking coffee, and there's the chat, of course, and then there's the hitmen, and everyone likes the Brigadier. Oh, new scientific officer. Hello, can I just say, science fiction credentials, it's the scientific officer from Bugs. I'd love to think that this is a Bugs and Doctor Who crossover, and it's very unlikely, because that means that Bugs was the antecedents of the Avengers, which you've got Doctor Who in the Avengers universe, and then we're all in a whole Alan Moore knows the score kind of thing. I'm so all over the shop. Which kind of brings us, rather not so nicely, to, well, the Doctor turning up, finally, halfway through. You've kind of forgotten it's his show at this point. And then he turns up, yes, riding a tank, making an entrance, playing his guitar, doing, well, it's the equivalent of Pertwee driving around in lots of cars. You see, I'm talking down on this programme as if I didn't enjoy it, and I know I did. I know I enjoyed it. I know I was carried along by the narrative. I was picked up and I was exported somewhere. But there are bits of it that just annoyed me. And the guitar playing, yeah, that's it. It's Pertwee in his cars. It's McCoy and the Spoons. Yes, Capaldi's Doctor in the band of doctors would be the one on lead guitar. And as for the shades, well, let's hope they're important at some point. I don't quite get it. Is this the first Doctor to be wearing sunglasses? And I don't mean Count Colin Baker's still photographs of him in the background in Seville. And so the plot takes us rather nicely, all three of our, and I'll use the word heroes, and the reaction of Missy, oh yes, the reaction of her not being the nemesis, very, very good. And then of course we go to Collector's Corner. The one thing that distracted me the most was the collection of Daleks. Absolutely all of the loveliest of Daleks were there, apart from obviously, well, the new paradigm, whatever you want to call them, Skittles, Teletubby Daleks, nonsense like that, but they weren't there. The Time Controller Dalek, yeah, beautifully constructed classic Daleks. But what it reminded me of was when I was a kid, I used to collect Star Wars toys. Star Wars figures. But they were quite expensive. They were almost £1, and that was way beyond my budget. 99 pence from Phoenix. That was when they first came out. And of course I wasn't going to shell out for lots of things. So as always I thought, I'll collect one of each. Which is fine unless you think about it. Because one of the things that I bought was a Stormtrooper. One Stormtrooper. You've got a Darth Vader and a Stormtrooper. And possibly a TIE Fighter Stormtrooper because they looked different. There were kids out there. You saw them. You knew them. They were never you. They were other kids. They're the ones who had, like, say, 10 Stormtroopers or something like that in order to have that nice scene where everybody's lined up. Probably 12. Anyway, it was beautifully things. They were lovely to see, but it just reminded me of that. This was a kid's shelf. It was a kid's toy shelf. And what he'd done is he'd collected one of each kind of Dalek, and he didn't like the new Daleks. So obviously it's not a kid's shelf, it's an adult Doctor Who fan. And they've put all of their toys on the shelf, each little Dalek, one of each type, and they've put them on their shelf, and they have a little game with them. And you know what? That's the inside of Moffat's head. It's the action figure world. It's playing with them all of the stuff that they've collected on their desk, having a chat. See the scene in the 5-ish Doctors. Sorry, I've digressed again. Back to the podcast.
If you had created a virus in your laboratory, something contagious and infectious.
Unimaginable power, unlimited vice cooking.
Everything we saw, everything we lost.
But did you call and tell anyone
Yes, okay, you've made your point.
Have I?
No, we don't. We've skipped a bit. Let's go and chat with Davros. Chat with Davros. Everyone likes a chat with Davros. And yeah, you know what? Davros is right. All you ever do with Davros is chat. Let's have a conversation. Let's do some philosophizing. Well, you know what? Fair enough. It's chatting. That's what we like. Davros is not well. Capaldi's messed up. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to fix it. Perhaps he's the person who just shoots him in the legs, and that's why he ends up in a wheelchair, and that's why he ends up fighting the universe. Well, you know what? So what? It was nice because in Genesis, Davros does not believe in the existence of aliens and other planets, and you know what? The little kid goes, what do you mean another planet? These things all fit. They matter to us, and they are lovely. I personally would have preferred, well, you know, the Big Finish Davros guy to have taken on the role one more time, instead of, say, Julian Bleak coming back. But that's fine. You know, he did a perfectly good job last time, and it's nice to have a repeat actor. So yeah, you've got your Doctor's dilemma. But again, back to my original point. Why is this called The Magician's Apprentice? Why is next week's called The Witch's Familiar? I'm sure that's more part of some overriding story arc. This is not going to end well. Everyone gets shot. The fact that everyone got shot means that very probably no one got shot. And you've got a lovely cliffhanger. Now, in these worlds of box sets and binge watching, the cliffhanger is a strange and rare creature. I've not seen it for a long time. And it's odd to have it here, and it made me cross. It made me cross in a way it never made me cross as a child. Because I just wanted to watch the next episode, and I wanted to watch it with all of my heart so much. So bring it on. Bring on next time. It'll all be all right. So until next time, when we'll be talking about something Doctor Who related, and I'm sure there'll be podcasts midweek. Be seeing you. You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast, available on RSS, iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom and Tumblr. Doctor Who and its associated works are copyright of the BBC. No infringement is intended. You can contact the show, donate, buy merchandise, or find out more about my other projects by visiting the Tin Dog Podcast homepage and clicking on the links. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.